Hey, what? Good morning, good afternoon, good day. Welcome to another live show. Good morning, Toys Mafia. All right, so today we're doing Black Widow, and I was specifically wanting to do the scene when I posed these guys of Hawkeye and the red floaty guy with these figures, because I feel that's probably, in my opinion, the I don't know, the most dramatic or most memorable scene of them. And so I was watching the movie last night, and I really got disappointed, extremely disappointed in the Hawkeye figure at that point for a couple of reasons. One, Jeremy Renner, the Hawkeye actor, is much older than this head sculpt portrays him. Much older. So, boo on Hot Toys for making him look like he's 28 instead of the age that his character obviously is in the movie. Another thing I noticed is when he was on the planet, now I forget the name of the planet, you don't see his bow anywhere. You don't see it. It's not predominantly portrayed anyplace. He's carrying his sword with him, and his quiver literally has his sword and 3 arrows, and that's it. And the arrows are very neat, and they're right next to the scabbard for his sword. And we don't get that either. So we don't get the proper quiver, which should include his sword, scabbard, and 3 arrows. And someplace is a bow, which I couldn't discern where it was, but he literally pulls it out and shoots the ground where the Black Widow is running as she's preparing to jump off of the cliff. And then he tosses the bow. But you don't see where the bow is before that. You can see the quiver with the scabbard on it and his sword there because he pulls the sword out also. And I don't know where the bow is. But obviously it's not a giant bow. It's obviously folded, kind of like what we get with some of the other Hawkeye figures, is a folded up bow. We don't get that here either. So boo on Hot Toys for letting this figure come into production without meeting those requirements, which are so easily discerned watching the movie. So the 3 people that were responsible for this figure were Mr. Zhang, Hero Kwan, and Oliver Lee. And boo on them. I mean, for real. It actually kind of upsets me that they just blew that off. It's like they didn't even care. Supposedly, Hot Toys spends 2 weeks researching a character before they even begin designing it. And I guess they just said, whatever, we're just going to go with Ronin from the beginning of the movie, and who gives a damn about the end of the movie because it's not important. When literally, that's probably the pinnacle point of the entire movie with Hawkeye and Black Widow is the scene with the Soul Ghost, the Red Skull up there. And it just really, 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 really bothers me that they just blew that totally off. And these are 3 names that I don't remember seeing on other figures. They're obviously new. Hot Toys has evidently shook up some of their staff. And Oliver Lee, Mr. Zhang, and Hero Kwan were responsible for this figure. And it just really, really bugs me now. It really eats at me. And I'm a little angry about that whole thing. So now let's move over to Black Widow. Jennifer Lopez, hello. C'est bon, Maison. How are you? I love saying your name. I just totally just slipped this off. Here's the front of the box for the Black Widow. And the back of the box with the warning. And what else is on here? A lot of warnings. That's all it is. Choking hazard, small parts, not for children under 3 years old, collectible, not a toy, recommended for ages 15 and up. Movie masterpiece series. And that used to mean something. It used to mean that they actually spent some time creating the figures, but I guess now it doesn't anymore. So here's the cast and crew responsible for this figure. Hero Kwan, product designer. Head sculptor So Young Lee, she's been there a long time. E. Lee Painter, been there a long time. Yu Lee's been there a long time. So the head is with some solid people. Costume design, James Lee. Accessory supervisor, James Lee and Indiana Chan. Don't recognize those guys. Production controller, Hero Kwan. So let's see how this is. Right now I'm a little miffed over Hawkeye. So hopefully they'll redeem themselves here. No, that's not even, why would I even say that? They're not going to redeem themselves with this figure as far as I'm concerned. They blew it. I mean, I'm happy I have him. He will get posed with Black Widow and the Soul Ghost over here. But no, they totally blew it on that. So when you're spending $200+ on a figure, you expect $200 worth of care, compassion, and commitment. Otherwise, just like a $50 figure. I'll make a $10 figure, sell it at the drugstores, and be done with it. I want a masterpiece figure. I'm paying for a masterpiece figure. And no, I didn't wake up on the wrong. No, I didn't wake up on the wrong side of the bed, by the way. But gosh darn it. These aren't cheap. You know what I mean? Oh, and they have a beautiful new Mandalorian out. Oh my God. I wish I had the money in the room to collect Star Wars figures. I don't know how many Boba Fett there are out there now, or those type of characters, but holy cow, another one was dropped for pre-order the other day. Looks gorgeous. Holy smokes. And here she is in her packaging. I also got my 2 Fison figures in the other day. The S39A large bust figure and S33B medium bust. And I truncated my Fison sheet, shrunk the font so I can keep track of it all here. S39 is interchangeable feet, and S33 is also interchangeable feet. S33, I have a note here that it's the same as the S35, which was seamless. So the S33 will be the same figure as the S35, only with interchangeable feet. And the S35 is what I made into my Daphne from Scooby-Doo. So I now have the interchangeable feet version of that. So the S35 and S33 are the same piece, just one with interchangeable feet. The S39 I have listed as a Bigfoot figure. So I don't know if I'll be able to get to them today to unbox them. I might. But the S39 is a Bigfoot figure. The other Bigfoot figure that we have had so far is the S29. So the S29 and S39 are interchangeable feet, big feet figures. They call them realistically proportioned, the big feet figures. So we have a couple of batons that will go on to her back if you want to have her batons on her back. We have a couple of batons for her hands if you want to have her fighting with the batons. And then we have the batons together as a staff. You want to have her fight in that manner. That's her display. So I guess gone are the days of workable pistols. Used to be they would provide a pistol that the magazine would come out of, and the slide would rack. Oh well, bite my tongue. I just literally tried to yank on this one and didn't move, and this one does. The slide racks, and the magazine comes out. So what in the world? I was all like, what in the world? They've cheapened out on the accessories, but no, this one still works. Little compact firearm. Doesn't rack back far enough to eject the cartridge. It racks back about that far, but it does rack back. A second ago I just picked it up. I couldn't get it to rack back or anything, but it does. So if there's a round in the top of the magazine, to let you see that the magazine is full. This thing won't stop focusing on me. Stupid. Let me try this one again. Yeah, there it goes. Now this one I can get the rack back further. There we go. If I pull on it really hard, I can get it to rack back further and actually stay into the racked back position. But still not far enough back to eject a cartridge. And you can't see the cartridge in there. Normally you can see the cartridge in there when they shove it all the way up in there. So it's great for your articulated videos if you make any stop motion videos. Set of wrist pegs. For her right hands, we have, she has relaxed hands on her are relaxed hands. We have a right fist and fingerless gloves. And there where the fingers meet the palm, they just painted it like, I don't know. The portion that's supposed to be a black glove has flesh paint on it. So there's no definition in between where the fingertips end into the glove and the glove begins. They just painted that the same color there. Just like they just went and splotted it on there. Man, I tell you, Hot Toys is really, really starting to slip. Robert, just a fan. How's it going, man? Oh, this one's much better. The pistol holding hand. There's total definition in regards to the paint difference between the two. I guess I figure you're not going to look at the inside of the palm of the hand when it's turned into a fist, so they'll just slap whatever crap they want in there and leave it at that. So actually, I guess this would be the baton holding hand, because there's a finger trigger pistol holding hand. They're definitely trying to see if it's two different cast hands totally, or if they just altered the casting on one just a bit to make the second. And I think I'm seeing enough difference between them that they're definitely two different cast hands. So they didn't just get lazy and pull the finger in. And I mean, they definitely cast these separately. Let's look at her left hands now. And same thing here as the other. It's just lazy. It's getting lazy. Um, like I said, you're paying $200 for this, so they should make it worth $200 instead of just slopping it together. You know what I mean? So it's kind of disappointing that they would do that. And then we have the baton holding and the pistol hand. And the paint app on the thumbs on these left hands is a little off. They're getting a little sloppy here. So on the the trigger finger hand, the thumb has a little bit of the flesh on the glove, and on the middle finger, a little bit of the glove is on the finger further than it should be. So that's just lazy. I mean, they could have easily just tossed this right into the bin and grabbed another one and painted it up. But they're like, just put it in there. Who cares? Fuck it. Fuck it. They'll buy whatever. Who gives a shit what we make? Just throw some shit in there. Doesn't matter. That's 10 cents you just threw away. Stop that. Put it in the box. What are they going to do? Complain? Oh, wah, wah, wah. We're already soaking them on the figure. Who cares? Just throw some stuff out there. Well, I'm trying not to be in a bad mood about this, but it sure seems that I am. I'm lit for some reason, man. I am lit up. Happy Saturday, everybody, right? Guardian of the Galaxy Thanos in, had to adjust the length of the chair. Yeah, the chair is in my video, if you watch the video, I pointed out, in my opinion, that whoever it was that designed the chair versus whoever it was that designed the body weren't talking to each other, because the body really doesn't fit in that chair. It's like they weren't on the same page. It's like they said, okay, the chair should be this dimensions, make the chair. The body should be this dimensions, make the body. But it's like nobody thought to put the two together to see how well they sit. You don't sit well together. No, 220 is a good price. I think I paid over $300 for him. I don't remember. Staying on a head sculpt. Oh. I would use something that doesn't have any chemical on them, because they hand paint. Each one of these are hand painted. The head sculpt is hand painted. Um, a lot of the figures may go through a machine or whatever, but each head sculpt is individually, the paint is applied on it. So you're dealing with paint. So you're definitely going to want to not use anything that has any chemical in it. Uh, try regular water. I don't know whether or not alcohol would allow it to come up without taking the paint off, but I certainly wouldn't use any harsh chemicals for fact. Here's the figure stand. With the Black Widow logo on it. And a crotch grabber. On the female characters, I don't like the crotch grabbers. I really wish for every female character they would give me the waist grabber if they're going to use this style of posing stand. I would much prefer a waist grabber over a crotch grabber, truthfully. All right, so that's everything out of the box. These relaxed hands appear okay. Okay. So in the movie, and again, specifically, the scene with her and Hawkeye um, on the planet. Let's get these lights on. Specifically, the scene with her and Hawkeye on the planet. Uh, her very tip of the tail of her braid is blonde. Now, they made a little bit of a point of painting that to some degree here. There is a little bit of a light color, but it is definitely the color of the Infinity War Black Widow. That is not. Secondly, with that in mind, in these braids here as well, upon examining the movie, are blonde streaks also. Not here. So Young Lee and Ely, calling you out on this one. And you guys know better. Ely, I love you, Ely. You're beautiful, but you screwed this up. There should be more blonde in that hair. Blonde streaks in the braid up here. You can clearly see them in the movie. And this is blonde. They made it is a little differently colored than this on this figure, but it's blonde. It is this color in the movie. So boo on that. Boo on that. And the head sculpt team from Korea is better than this. You know what I mean? You guys know better. They sculpted her suit up. The zipper does not come down. It's a non-functioning zipper. So it's a permanent suit on her forever. Unable to unzip her. Let's have a look at the Infinity War. Appears to be the same way on the Infinity War with unmovable zipper. Yeah, aesthetic only. Now the jacket appears to be a functioning zipper. So if you were to kit bash this with the Fison for whatever reason, which I wouldn't understand why you would, because there's no benefit of having seamless anything in regards to that. You would have to cut this back here on the sew seam to remove the figure from outside of the suit. The suit's sewn onto the body. Definitely not designed to come off. The suit looks good, and the sewing looks nice. It did a good job of keeping it neat. Doesn't appear to be falling apart any place. But definitely, if you were to try to remove this to put it on a different body, you are going to be involved in a nice task. No doubt about that. Because all the pieces are integrated into the suit instead of attached, well, as soon as I say that, I notice that the shoulders are attached. The knee pads are integrated into the suit, right? Yeah, the knee pads are molded into the suit. Or little widow bites or whatever they call them. They are separate from the suit. Um, but the shoulder pads are glued on. So I was looking at the knee pads. I was thinking, you don't have to worry about these shoulder pads popping off. But no, they'll pop off if you were to put too much of opposing action onto this. So be careful with the shoulders in regards to posing these, because it's so easy as you pose your figures around, you bend your joints and such, and these guys will start just popping off. You'll have to glue them back on. But the knees are molded into the suit. The knees are part of the suit. The shoulder pads are not. So you might have some problem there in posing if you move them around a lot. The suit's not too restrictive. You can see the bending of the suit around as I move her arm around. So they did put a lot of material in there for that ability, which is nice. I mean, I'm quite surprised to be able to spin that around so much in a uni suit, more or less. That's it's pretty impressive actually. And there's bicep swivel, butterfly shoulders. Is that a double jointed elbow? By golly, it is. Double jointed elbow. So you can really get her hand up to her face, literally. That's nice. Good quality figure here, in my opinion. She doesn't feel loose anywhere. Going with the boot instead of an ankle boot, of course, you're going to have limited ankle pivot, if any. None. So no ankle pivot to speak of at all. No toe point. Very Barbie doll ish. And that's the disadvantage of a boot over the ankle, the foot boot. Looks better, but you just limit your posability in that regards for serious action poses. And double jointed knee as well. They did a good job padding the butt. So as you move it around, you don't end up with this really weird, freakish shape here. So it's nice. I mean, I'm able to bend her over as such, and you still have, for the most part, a pretty reasonable appearing butt. Sometimes you'll get these hinge marks and seams that just make it look unnatural, and they really did a good job there. So I'm very pleased in that manner and quite impressed with using the waist articulation as well. We can get her into a nice deep bow. That's a serious you know an honorable bow there, I would say, for fact. Quite impressed with that. And like I said, this is what I was looking for, to see what we end up with in regards to seams there, and that is totally acceptable. I can't think of a figure off my hand, off the top of my head, where it looks unappealing. But there are many times when posing your figure, you look at the butt and you're like, "What the hell happened here?" They really worked that nicely. Really worked that nicely. That turned out really good. I spent some time on this. So the design team on this Black Widow figure really earned their money, I must say. And with, a unitard or a single piece suit, you're going to have restrictions, but it's not bad considering. It's about as far as comfortably I'm willing to bend that in that manner. And the same thing with the spread out, about that far is about as far as I'm comfortable bending it. You don't want to split the material. I would assume, because of her stiff joints and the lack of an ankle, she should stand up well on her own without a figure stand, which may end up being a requirement in regards to posing her with Hawkeye and the Soul Ghost. Let's see. This, I know I hate this computer, man. My wife bought this maybe, gosh, 6 years ago, and she had problems with it from day one. And chair wise, peroxide. See, peroxide is literally just you know um, hydrogenated water. So that would probably be safe. H2O2. H2O is water, an extra oxygen molecule. A boob grabber. Her iconic pose in Endgame was the Egyptian pose laying on the floor. She shrunk when we went back to the redhead. Did they shrink her? She is shorter, isn't she? Boots are the same height. Her legs are a little bit longer on the blonde. Sure enough, her butt's a little bit taller. So that hopefully addresses or answers your questions in regards to whether or not they use the same figure over and over again for all of the characters. Because obviously these are two different figures. Totally. She has more legs on the Infinity War. And she appears to be a bit thicker. Her thighs and her hips are a little wider on the Endgame figure, which I can argue away saying, okay, well, that's 5 years of age difference, right? From Infinity War to Endgame. So she put on a little meat, and maybe as we all get older, we shrink. So I guess I'll just explain that away in that manner. But yeah, she's definitely shorter, isn't she? Some of it, I think, has to do with the hair also. Her head appears to be. So I show what I'm looking at. So when I put the heels together and the bottom of the foot together there, the butt is a little bit taller on the Infinity War. You see that at the bottom of her buttock region there? It's a little bit taller, which means her legs are obviously longer. And then you get up to the shoulder area. See if we can keep them together here. There's just a little bit more height there. So I'm assuming then that the torso region is properly is similarly sized. So then you get to the head. So I compared the head side to face, forehead to chin. And from what I'm able to see here, looking at this, it appears that the actual head sculpt or the face sculpt is the same size. So it must be bulk from the rooted hair versus sculpted hair, which adds another element of length there. Because I don't see a full centimeter in height difference looking at her butt. I see about a half of a centimeter in height difference there, but she's a good, gosh, maybe a full centimeter taller from bottom to top. I'd easily say that's a good centimeter in height between the two. So a lot of it I'm going to say is from the rooted hair also compared to the sculpted hair. But yeah, you're absolutely right. She is taller and she's shorter here. So do away with this rooted hair. You're going to shrink her a half a centimeter, and then her legs are obviously longer. But I wonder if you can see what I'm talking about in regards to her thighs are thicker and her hip is wider on the Endgame figure than in the Infinity War figure. So Scarlett put on some weight there in those 5 years, or Black Widow did, one or the other. I'm happy to see her back with firearms instead of her non-lethal weapons. She should have pistols in her hand. She's an assassin, right? What I what I think I want to pose them as is, truthfully, how I want to pose these two together is when they're discussing, what needs to be done in order to get the soul stone. Now, I think these are a little high. I think these batons are a little high than what they are in the movie. I don't remember them sticking up that much. I thought all I saw was just a little nub, not a full on, like half a handle sticking up there when we were looking at her. So I think this is a little high in regards to how it really should be placed on her. But there's a scene where they're kind of like, she double clasps his left hand as they're discussing what needs to be done. And, you know, they have a relationship together. Um, it appears to be a very beautiful platonic relationship. Hawkeye appears to be very noble in his dealings with her, almost like maybe a brotherly, sisterly love, or you know, the best friends type love. So I don't ever get this feeling that they ever had anything going on between the two of them in any of the movie. Do I ever really get it? The movies, do I ever get this impression that they were a hot item together? But there's a pose where the two of them are discussing what must need be done. What must need be done? In order to regain the soul stone. And they can ask the red floaty guy, I think is what he calls him. And I thought that was a pretty touching scene. I really wanted to bring that to the story here. I wish I had the money to get Michelle and Ned. I would buy them both from the Spider-Man Far From Home. And I never ordered the claw because, again, my money's tied up. I just got notification yesterday, as a matter of fact, that my Venom pool is coming in about 2 weeks. I'll be getting Venom pool, another $400 figure. And Doc Ock. Oh my God. 4 figures I absolutely need. I've still not been able to get a hold of Killmonger. Now the boots are the same size I'm looking at. And no, I haven't swapped out any of these bodies. Hawkeye seems to reform bad girls. That's a pretty good statement there. I like that. Let's see. Let's find some hands for Hawkeye. I want to find a hand that will look like that they could possibly be, you know, holding hands as they were. The Black Widow box will be the Black Widow box. Let's have a look at these gloves. I wonder if these gloves are interchangeable between Infinity War and Endgame. Oh, yes. All right, so on to Black Widow. So for her hands here, we have a relaxed hand. And by the way, so here's the in-game fist, and here's the Infinity War fist, and there's no paint bleed over on the Infinity War fist. Okay? So it's not something that they do. There's no paint bleed over here. The in-game fist definitely has paint bleed over. Both of these. So obviously, when they got around to Endgame, they decided, fuck it, just throw some shit in there. And that's piss poor as far as I'm concerned. So I think we're good with her relaxed hands there. I thought that I wouldn't have a hand that I'd be able to use for this, but I think I'll be fine with that. He should work on Nebula. Poor Nebula, man. Thanos really abused her, didn't he? her mind, she's messed up. She is messed up. So I'm not planning on posing him at all with his bow. He literally pulls it out of God knows where. And with the Hawkeye figure, you don't get the sword, but he 100% had the sword on him at that point. So you're going to have to use Ronin if you plan on really, and the quiver's wrong for that point as well. So, and I have no idea where where he kept his bow. Pulled it straight out of his ass, I guess, right? I don't have a hand that I really want to use for this left hand. So I'm going to go with the fist and just have her double clasping his fist. I think that will work. Let's give him a relaxed hand. As relaxed a hand as we can on this left side. They kind of do a forehead touch. I don't know if I want to go to that extreme in regards to the pose here. It's a little difficult to get with his hair the way that it is. Can't really get a good forehead touch. But we can get darn close. And butterfly that shoulder forward. Let's get these hands up. Get them a little close here. And I think with a little more finagling, I can get this the way that I want it. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. So there's a rough draft of what's going to be, I think, the final pose for these two. Let me spin this around for you here. He needs a little more work to get him into really how I want him to stand. She stands pretty well of where I'm at. Need to get his hand a little more in front of his body, and this can be done. And this is, I think, how I want to pose these guys. Because it really tells their entire relationship of everything from the MCU. Hopefully, Jeremy Renner will be in the Black Widow movie as well. Hopefully, we'll get some Budapest stories. You know, he says, you and I remember Budapest very differently. But yeah, I think that's the pose. I think that's the money shot right there. I think that's what we want to go with. I like that. And they don't require their stands for that pose. There is an instruction manual here. I don't know what really they're going to be able to talk about, except for the limitations of bending her. Shows you that the batons go in the back and that the slide can be racked and that the cartridge can be removed from the firearm. So it literally goes over everything that I've checked on in regards to the degrees and about the shoulder piece. So it just reconfirms or affirms what I pointed out in regards to displaying this figure properly. Even after all of the shit Thanos put her through, she still loves him like a father. She does. When they chop his head off, her reaction, oh yeah. It's crazy what he did to her, you know? I like how, she explained to Gamora how she constantly tried to kill her, but then in the end, they became, friends. And literally in the end, because Thanos had to kill Gamora in order to gain the Soul Stone. What a heartless dude. But that's what the Red Skull couldn't do because he didn't love anything more. Couldn't sacrifice anything. There's nothing for him to sacrifice. Himself. So his eternal damnation. And of course, what's interesting is that Captain America would have no idea that that was the Red Skull there. Even if they tried to explain what he looked like, I don't believe for 1 second he would have put two and two together. Now, if he were ever see him, he would. So I'm wondering what happened when he returned that stone to its rightful place. Wonder what happened at that moment in time when Captain America went to the planet to put the Soul Stone back. That'll make for a good conversation. While using the Black Widow box, and put this in the big Black Widow box. This is a I bought, I think, 4 of these diamond bases, just the black bases. I was really buying them for the figure stand that they came with. And this, I think, is the Thanos one. I don't remember. So I don't know if I pulled this off of, if they pulled the name off of the front, or if this was, yeah, I must have, because this is definitely applied onto that. I wonder if there's enough room to put these two on there with him. Obviously, they weren't this close to the Red Skull. The Soul Ghost. I now pronounce you Hawkeye and Black Widow. What do you think, guys? I think it'll work. Red floaty guy and Hawkeye and Black Widow. Children of Thanos movie. I would love to see the Black Order manufactured as figures. Yeah, I actually thought about posing her and him in some sort of struggle on the side of the cliff. And I felt that was probably a little too dramatic. More more of the story than what I really wanted to get involved in. I mean, this is story enough here. I think first off, anybody that is familiar with the movie would recognize this, but those that aren't, it's going to, I believe, cause enough intrigue and question for them to wonder what in the world's really going on here, and it'll make you want to ask that. And it'll fit well in a Detolf. Now, this will fit easily into a Detolf, which would allow for a lot more room. Would you put any other figure in there? I don't think so. I don't think any other figure would really be necessary. I think this pretty much would totally make up an entire Detolf display, just as such. For real. I think it's good. I wish I remember where this base came from. I don't know if it's a Thanos base or I don't think the Red Skull came with a base. I don't remember. But it's definitely, this isn't a piece of paper cardboard on a diamond base. Like I said, I bought about 4 or 6 of these diamond bases. This is definitely integrated into it. I'll have to check my Thanos video and my Red Skull video to see, my Soul Ghost video to see where this base came from. I think this works. I think it works well. CBS Sci-Fi, welcome. Yeah, I think he 100% meets the Red Skull again as well. I'm really curious to see what that would. Oh man, can you imagine that? Sheesh. Holy cow. Wonder how that went down. Red Skull's been there for what? Well, when was the war? 44, 45? Let's just say 45. Make our easy math. So 55, 65, 75, 85, 95, 2005, 2015, 2020 would have been Infinity War, right? So 2025 would have been Endgame. Is that the math? I'm trying to remember. So 80 years. You would have had 80 years to be thinking about things, stuck on that planet in isolation. You can do a lot of maturing at that point. And he's obviously evolved into something because he floats now. So I wonder how that went down. That'd be interesting. Interesting to wonder about. Yeah, at some point you think the diamond bases are too big, but then you realize the ability of them in regards to, some of the larger figures, and or in this instance of being able to put everyone together into one. There is a function for them, and with each of these style of bases, these hexagons, and then the smaller. I really wouldn't call them a diamond base, but they're like a seven-sided base that we had for many of the Marvel figures for a long time. They interlock together more or less in pieces. So it's interesting as they go around. The only ones I don't really care for that much are the oval style bases. Although those are dirt cheap and available everywhere, they don't take up a lot of real estate. These are nice because you still have some posability on them. For instance, I have Ronin and War Machine stretched out on them, taking up a lot of space on it, but it still will fit next to the other figures as you piece them around. The ones I also didn't much care for were the ones that Miles Morales came with from Young Rich Toys. They're a little bit too big for my liking in regards to that, the round ones. Now, I like the kind of a squared off ones or rectangular ones that Gwen Stacy came with from Bullet Head. The Bullet Head figure base that Venom came on is deficient. It wasn't a well thought out base from that regards. But yeah, these are good to have extras of in times when you need them. But I won't be using these bases anymore, I don't believe. I'm going to be setting them right here as such. Yeah, I agree. I think it works. Toys Mafia, I agree 100%. Yeah, he wasn't this close. He was way off on the side, letting them do their debate in regards to what's going on. And if you wanted to put them in their Detolf in that manner, I suppose you could. Just stick him in the corner, put them up closer to the door, and because you have plenty of room. And what's a Detolf? I think it's 13 or 16 inches. What is it? 14 and a half? 14 inches square. And this takes up, you got 11 and a half across there, or in a corner. It's only 7.5, so you have a full 7 more inches or so. If you did straight back, you could literally pose them all the way up to here, sideways. If you just put him in, Jesus, this arrow just bit the dust all on the floor there. So you could pose them this deep easily in a Detolf right there. So you could have them this far apart in your Detolf. If this was straight against, just straight in. And if you turned it into the corner, right about there, you have that much space. Let me turn this other direction. You can increase the amount of space in between them to give that effect. And then give them a little spin here. So whatever works. These guys aren't going to a Detolf yet, but I definitely see that as their future. But no, this is definitely the pose that I'm going with for fact. Definitely. I think it works well. It just says everything. It 100% says everything about their relationship. When Hawkeye comes back, as they've all accumulated the stones, and he's fighting back his emotions to let them know that Natalie's not coming back, and Bruce just, gets angry, beats the floor. You know, there's just so much story in all of them, and I think this really, really tells the story there. Oh no, this is a piece of paper. I just was able to slide it out. For a second there, I couldn't get it to move around. So I think this is from Thanos. I think Thanos came with two pieces. I think he came with this cover, and then this is just one of my blank black diamond bases that I have. So I think this is Thanos's piece. I couldn't get it to move for a second ago. It just fits so well into the grooves and slots of this black diamond base. I thought it was painted onto it like these are, but no, it's not. I was able to just slide it around. I'm pretty sure I thought this was from Thanos. So it is. This is Thanos's. Pretty sure it was Thanos. Hell, it may have been Captain America. No, I don't think it was Captain America. So this is Thanos's cover, his alternate cover that he had on a diamond base. Pretty sure. Pretty sure. Don't remember exactly though. Now that I think about it. Wonder where we got this staff from. A lot of story here too, isn't there? What's the deal with the red floaty guy? Why is he holding a staff? Red floaty guy. Widow should have come with the soul stone. Hawkeye should have come with a soul stone. One of these figures, I think I have a soul stone. Jake, welcome, welcome, welcome. Better late than never. Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. And yeah, I pointed out what I felt were the problems on her, but yeah, I'm very pleased with how she turned out. Uh, I'm disappointed in the paint of the hair, but the rest of the figure I think is spot on. I really enjoy the shape of her articulation, and the way her suit fits. It's really nice. And I've come to the realization that I'm pissed off about Hawkeye. Really angry on the Hawkeye figure. They really shortchanged us, in my opinion, with him, and that's wrong. But I think there's a lot of you out there that are straight up Black Widow collectors, and she's definitely one for your collection, no matter. I think it's the first Black Widow with the sculpted hair, isn't it? I don't have all the Black Widows, but I think every other Black Widow has rooted hair, doesn't she? Is there any Black Widow that has sculpted hair besides the Endgame? Does the Iron Man 2 one or any of the other earlier ones have sculpted hair? I don't think so. Thanos. Thank you, Toys Mafia. I thought so. I thought this was Thanos's extra cover, but I think it looks perfect here with the Soul Ghost. I think it's perfect. You don't have any Widow figures? Winter Soldier one. I don't have a Winter Soldier one, I don't believe. I have Civil War, and ALU, and Infinity War, and of course Endgame. Um, this is a Civil War. I've got AOU in there with the Avengers fighting Ultron. And this is my only other Black Widows that I have. And this is the waist grabber that I prefer. Um, if I'm going to have a grabber for a female figure, I'd rather a waist grabber. It blends in, especially on her on the black ones, but the crotch grabber just doesn't look right with those in between her legs, personally. Let me see if this does the butt like I was talking about earlier. Yeah, when you bend her over, her butt, you end up with this weird shape, hip thing going on here. Let's get these guys out of the way so I can show you what I was talking about on the butt of these figures. See this? You get this weird bulge there that just doesn't work. See that? It can you see that that little hip thing going on there with her butt? And that's gone with this other figure. So they did a good job figuring out how to do that. But no, that's not a natural looking butt bend in that regards. I'm curious now on height comparison here. Holy smokes. Jeez. Huge height difference here. Definite leg length difference. arm length difference as well. I don't know if you can see or not, but this upper arm area here on both the figures, this one's much longer than this one. And there's easily a centimeter there as well. Now I'm going to drag Infinity War over. Gosh darn you pointing this out to me. Ack! Snatched her head off. So Infinity War is shorter than Civil War. Trying to get her to stand up here. By about a half a centimeter. So Civil War is taller than Infinity War. Infinity War is taller than Endgame. Thanks a lot for pointing that out to me. Golly. Well, I won't be able to sleep now. My Black Widow figures aren't the same height. My Black Widow figures aren't the same height. Keep knocking the batons off of her back. Actually, they shouldn't even be there because she has the batons in her hands. I'm just going to take them off, put them in her drawer. I really don't have a place to display Civil War Black Widow. She's all on her own, essentially. I have AOU Black Widow fighting Ultron. I have Infinity War Black Widow over here with the Avengers on the Avengers shelf. And then, of course, Endgame Black Widow will be with Hawkeye with the Soul Ghost on their own little shelf. I don't have a spot specifically for Civil War Black Widow. But here's what I'm talking about in regards to these crotch grabbers. I just don't appreciate or enjoy the appearance of the crotch grabber in between her. It just doesn't sit well with me. I don't like it. I don't like the crotch grabber on any of the figures, truthfully. But I think on a female figure, it's just wrong. They should include the waist grabbers. The waist grabbers are rare. I have so many crotch grabbers, it's not even funny. I have her sitting on top of the Detolf, all by her lonesome. If I had a full-on Black Widow collection of all the Black Widows, I would pose all the Black Widows together. I think that would be nice. As far as that goes, I'm going to keep her with the Avengers. I suppose one day when I'm rich, I have a huge room to display every figure, then I would have them set aside by movies and then still have certain scenes recreated as such, because they give you so many different options when you get your figures in regards to posability, you know. So I would suppose what I would do was have a team shot of all of them posed together as a team, and then separate pieces as such to be able to recreate memorable moments. So when I'm rich, that's the way it'll be. And then there'll be an entire Civil War Team Stark versus Team Captain America, right? have them posed as such. I like this. Yeah, I really like this. I think all the Black Widows are sexy, but I really like this figure. I think they did a really good job with this. Black Widow and White. Oh, for fact. Oh my goodness. Has anyone heard anything definitive in regards to when the movie's coming out? CW version to go with Mark 46 and Cap. I I keep my for some reason I keep putting my Iron Man together and my Captain America's together. I have Cap over here with Peggy. I don't know if you can see that over there. I think you can. Got I got Loki in his suit with Cap from Avengers, but I don't think that's an Avengers Cap. What is this? This is the what Cap is that? Civil War Cap. So I got Avengers Loki in his suit, which they never met in that. Uh, they didn't see each other with Loki in that suit, but I love that suit. It was the third party. I don't remember who made it, but I really love that Loki. So I have him with that's a Civil War Cap, and I have him with Peggy that's in a Fison body, and then I have the prototype Cap, and then I have my Red Ghost, my Red Skull, and my Johann Schmidt. So I have them together. The other caps are displayed with AOU over there fighting Ultron, and the Avengers Captain America here. And then I have my Iron Man all together, more or less in order. One of the different, like 7, 9, 15, 20, 23, and 20. 23 is out of place only because he doesn't have I have him on the sand. And then 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 36, 41. And then at the top there are them as they appeared in Iron Man 3, with the 17 being first, and then the 40 and the 35 on his left, and 39 and 33, 15, 30, and 21 on his right. The original 21, this is the 21 Chrome over here. Then I have my uniques, or I used to call it my Holy Grail shelf, because I also had the Mark III Secret Project up there, or Gunmetal, I think is what it was called. I sold that to pay some medical bills. So now I just have the Mark III Stealth, which is the blue one, the Mark IV Secret Project, the Mark IV Neon, the Mark VI Neon, the Mark VI diecast up there, whereas this is a Mark VI plastic in the Hall of Armor. And then I have a Mark VII shelf, which has the Arctic one, the Stealth one, and 2 of the diecast Mark 7s up there. And then I have a Mark V shelf, which has a Tony Stark in his racing suit, a plastic Mark V, and a diecast Mark V. I also have a plastic Mark V over here, and the broken open suitcase right before Tony puts it on with the Mark I Whiplash. And then next to that are the continuation of the Tony figure. So as this goes to 41, and 42 is in the middle here of the what would you call it? We called it the Iron Legion. You would call it the Hall of Armor, is really the top. This is like the wine cellar, but he's in the middle of that. So 42 goes there. 43 is fighting wait a minute, what do I have in there? Do I have two 43s? I do have two 43s. So I have a 43 in there fighting Ultron, and then I have a 43 here, and then the 44 is a Hulkbuster, and then the 45 and a 46 concept, because I had the other 46 over here with the Avengers. I sold my 47. I've got two 47s coming in replacement, one so I can pose with Spider-Man, and one that I can pose with the Iron Man. So 46 concept. So then I have the 47 coming, and I have the Hulkbuster 2 up here on top of the Detolf, and then I've got the Mark 50 down here fighting Thanos. He's over here, And then we have just the Mark 85 coming. I really should have got two of those Mark 50s. I should have got three of those Mark 50s. I really enjoy that Mark 50. That's a really nice suit. I really like it. So that's my Iron Man collection as a quick rundown. But yeah, 47 really needs to be posed with Spider Man, in my opinion. Opened up, nobody home. Homecoming Spidey. I wish I had five of those regular suit Spider Man, one for each of the movies, in every one of the movies. I don't consider any of the plastic ones outdated. The Mark 7 plastic and the Mark 7 diecast are two totally designed differently figures. They operate totally different. I would assume that the Mark 7 diecast is more accurate, but that Mark 7 plastic is still an extremely beautiful piece. Extremely beautiful. And I love the way it opens up on the back more so than I do the Mark 7 diecast. I love he opens up like I don't know, like a bee. Blue Beetle, for instance, maybe would be another way of thinking about him. But I really enjoy how he opens up on the back. But yeah, I think the Mark 7 diecast is more accurate. And I think that might be why they stopped the production of the rest of the Iron Legion, the 8 through 41 suits, and only did the ones that they did because so many of them are based off of the Mark 7 diecast or the Mark 7. And with the diecast being properly, I'm assuming, properly fabricated, they would need to redesign all those others as well. And I would absolutely love for them to make the entire Iron Legion. Now, I would hope that they wouldn't release them all at one time. $400 a pop for diecast figures. Holy smokes. What would that be? Eight. So 18, 28, 38, 18, 20, 30, 30, 32 figures. Jeez. Holy cow. At $100 a piece, it's $3,200. Times three, you're looking at $10,000. God. That's just at $300 each. Oh my goodness. Bond, James Bond. Can't go wrong with Bond. Oh my God, yeah. Why did they not make the rest of the figures from the Black Panther? Okay, she 100% needs to be made. 100% needs to be made. I have no idea why they passed on that. It makes no sense. The big rhino, crotch grabber once in a while. Three homecoming Spideys. Yeah, for fact, I could use five of them. I have more or less two. I have the original and then the movie promo edition. So, but yeah, I've got a lot of Spideys coming, obviously as well. But got Venompool coming. Need to put him up in the list of figures that of my unboxing list of what's coming and going in the next few weeks. So I have got to go to work this morning and fix their computers. So I'm going to cut this short instead of dragging it out any longer. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in this morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are in the world, and spending time with us, sharing with us what you got going on. And thank you, Patreons. You guys know who you are. Thank you, those of you who have sent me gifts in the past. Thank you so much. I love every one of you. And stay safe out there. Respect everyone else's opinion on things. Hear them out. You don't have to agree with them, but you don't have to be fighting. My goodness, we've gone crazy. People want to burn people's houses down and shit over opinions. That's insane. Straighten up, all y'all. Start acting right. Act civilized. Toby Spidey. Oh man, I definitely need the Toby Spideys and the Andrew Garfield Spideys. Even though I never really connected with Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, he's still Spidey. He's 100% canon. And I don't have any of those. I don't have any of those Hot Toys figures. Some of those suits look really poor. Um, They haven't weathered well. They haven't aged well. So I'm so scared to track them down on eBay or anything like that because of that reason. Don't want to end up getting somebody's beat up junk. So I hope that they make those again for the re-release of the PS4 figures because they have, I'm pretty sure they had the Sam Raimi suit in the PS4 video game. So I think I remember seeing that in there as a suit option. So I would love for them to recreate that at least. And of course, you know, the black suit Spider-Man, the pre-Venom or the symbiote suit, however you want to call it. Next time. You two, you guys have a good day. Um, BBTF, BBTF. Back to the Future? Do you mean BTTF? Yeah, okay, there you go. Peace out. All right, man. Yep. www.patreon.com/Siri Emerald to support my channel directly and become a producer of the show. Like, subscribe, share, and thumbs up. We'll see you guys. Peace. Love y'all.